All right, good morning. Tim Sykes here. So much to talk about. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to do video lessons the past few days. Been here in Africa, literally trading from a tent. If you follow me on Twitter, you can see some of these crazy trading locations that I'm at. Just a bad week to be in Africa. But I'm trading, with Rhino. This is a group that we're supporting. Not like politically, they're just there to protect the rhinos, but they're local community members who have been trained. They're called the Cobra Guard here in Zimbabwe. They've been trained to protect the rhinos, and they are on these rhinos 24/7 so that they don't get poached. And it's pretty cool that, you'll see. We're doing a whole documentary on them. So that's why I'm here in Africa, and I'm literally like having coffee made like on campfires. Hopefully this video posts. Like I said, just not a great time to be in Africa, for trading at least. And then this is the local school that we're supporting. I'm giving, little pound dogs to all the kids. There's so many more photos and videos that I'll post soon. But I do want to help you understand that this is a crazy, 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 crazy market. If at any time during this video you understand that, leave a comment underneath and say this is a crazy market, because I want you to understand. Like, I gave a challenge webinar last night and everyone's like, oh, you're so tired, just go to sleep. And it was like midnight and I was like, yes, I will go to sleep, but I have to give the webinar. I am gonna, push myself to the limits. Hold on, let me get a drink of coffee. One sec, I've had 3 already. When the market is hot. And, if you've been trading as long as I have for 25 plus years, the market goes in and out of hotness. There's better opportunities sometimes. When the market is hot, you got to push it. And some people are like, Tim, like, you've been in hot markets before. Why are you so unhealthy right now? I was hanging out with Lucas, awesome, 9-figure trader. And he was like, you're the most unhealthy person I know. And I was laughing. Yes, I've been in hot markets before, but usually the market has only been ripe for great trades near the market open, maybe an afternoon breakout, and maybe an overnight trade. That's it. In this market, you got to try to be there for the 4 or 5 a.m. spikers, which I'll go over. Sometimes there's 6 or 7 a.m. spikers, especially at 7 a.m. when most brokers open up. I already traded VS this morning, made over $1,000 thanks to Interactive Brokers. They're open at 4 a.m. Eastern. But, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., along with morning spikers near the open. Also midday spikers, well, I'll go over that, afternoon breakouts, and now just in the past few days we've been having after hour spikes, 4 p.m. to 4:30 or even 5 p.m. Eastern. So I've been in hot markets before, but never where all these different spikes can happen at different times during the day. So, maybe you're not in Africa, maybe you don't have as crazy of a schedule as I do, but you're trying to capitalize as best you can on this hot market. That's what I want you to understand. And I'm not doing necessarily the great job. There's a saying like teachers are those who can do. I'm identifying the plays early, but as you'll see in this video, I'm zigging when I should zag. I'm zagging when I should zig. I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Like, I'm close. And I know many of you are in a similar way where, you see these plays, maybe you're too early, maybe you're too late, maybe you miss the execution, maybe you don't even see it. But, it's not a perfect science with these short squeezes. And if you go back and watch my video lessons over the past 3 years now, you'll see that I've been getting better at trading short squeezes. I've already made triple what I made last year, but I'm still not like, hey, short squeezes are my favorite strategy. They're tough. And I still find myself sometimes amazed at how many short sellers there are. And they create these great squeezes that I have underestimated. Let me just get it off off my chest. I lost on DRUG. I lost $1,000. And we'll go over DRUG, we'll go over INVO, we'll go over VS. I want to go over all these plays so that you understand, what's happening. But first, before I get into my plays and these stocks, I want you to understand why these are spiking. Like, it's all short sellers. There's too many short sellers. They're over aggressive. They're undertrained. They're irresponsible. And so the worst of the worst companies that have no business going up 500%, let alone 1,000 or 2,000%, they're spiking because the shorts are getting annihilated. And unfortunately, most short sellers are not transparent. I used to be a short seller. I would show all my trades, but now the squeezes have gotten insane. And so even when some shorts post their losses, you have to understand that the biggest shorts have 3, 4, 5, even 6 accounts because they're trying different brokers to find shares to short. And so if they show a loss in one account and you think that they're transparent, they're probably hiding the other accounts. They can do that. And let's not forget that promoters used to be the biggest liars. And they would try this groupthink promotional strategy, which would pump up all these stocks and they want everyone to follow them. Now short sellers are the new promoters, and short sellers are under investigation in case you ever think that they're all logical and fundamental and like there's good camaraderie like they want you to think. Short sellers are the new wolves of Wall Street. And I say that not lightly. I'm very proud not to short. I'm very proud to have warned against shorting. But I say this to help you understand how to approach these stocks. Because too many people are like, this stock is up so much, it makes no sense. It does make sense if you start to understand that the reason why these are going up is because too many shorts crowd in too early. They try to get other shorts to crowd in to create these bear raids to push the prices down. And then they all get squeezed together. And you have these short selling chat rooms, groupthink. Everyone plays follow the leader with the big short seller who you think like never loses, but that's only because they don't post their trades. And then you have short selling conferences, which, interestingly enough, I think I said this in the challenge webinar. I think if you actually plotted the biggest short squeezes, they happen right after these short selling conferences because all the short sellers gather together. They all pretend to be very profitable, just like Twitter, where, 90% of traders make money on Twitter, even though we know industry stats, 90% of traders lose. And so when you have these conferences and you have these chat rooms full of short sellers and everyone's thinking alike, they make the fundamental case that these stocks should drop. Most of the time, the stocks do drop. So they get this kind of like bias where they're always going to be right. And then obviously all it takes is 1 or 2 trades for them to blow up and lose half their money, 3/4 their money, all their money, maybe even more than all their money. Short sellers get very, very overconfident, and I'm grateful for it, but I do have to warn about it too. So let me just start with, I guess I got to go, let me show the short sellers first. There's a lot to go over. So this is going to be a long video. Dig in, take notes. I want you to understand the idea of a short squeeze and why there's so many right now and why they're so violent. I'm not trying to throw any traders under the bus. The usernames don't matter. I just want you to understand what they're doing. Here's a short seller. Here's my loss porn. Got all out at 1240. It's indicating 22. Godspeed anyone who's still in this. DRUG, and he lost 305,000. Covering at 1240 was actually really good in hindsight. It went up to $60. So this could have been a multi-million-dollar loss. Again, I'm not here to judge or make anybody feel bad. I want you to understand that short sellers are risking, so much. They're one trade away, one bad execution, one halt where they can't get out away from blowing up entirely. You don't need to risk big to make a lot. I really want to be clear about that. I trade like a damn coward and I've still made millions. And I think that's the way to be right now. Here's another short seller really in my head tonight. I've been here many times doubting my ability. If I can trade again, I'm down 35K this month. Most from this week. I hate being here. This is mental misery I've overcome before, but how much can a guy take? The ups and the downs. I've accomplished more. Even so, my only solution is to size down, be happy with 305. So you'll get a lot of these like monologues from short sellers. Your solution is not only to size down. You can go long. Like I want to just grab their necks and be like, go long. Every single reason that you want to short because other people are doing it. And now, frankly, a big part because of how much I've promoted shorting penny stocks. There's so many of them. Guess what? There's too many. It's overcrowding. Short sellers are an invasive species and they're being culled, basically, if you want to make like a wildlife analogy. It's not as mentally destroying and frustrating as most people think. You just go long. Like, it seems so obvious to me because I switch sides. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Most short sellers, again, they just can't buy bad companies. A lot of people, even when I buy these companies, they're like, you're a trader. These companies are fundamentally crap. You're basically a promoter now. I'm just trying to take good trades. And I don't think you need to risk this, blowing up I don't think you need the mental anguish. Here's another trader, $230,000 loss on DRUG, just posting as a self-reminder, I shouldn't be touching small caps. Again, if you're touching small caps in the wrong way, yes, it can be hurtful. But all you have to do is go long. How do I get through to people? Okay? Just because plays usually fade, you have these, quote, black swans, these outliers that seem to happen every few months. And it's not like one time anymore. You know, there was TPST, there was HOLO, there was HKD, there's DRUG. It's not like it's happening every day, but, you know, like I said in the challenge webinar last night, 5, 6, 7 times a year, you know, and it's not just DRUG. Let me just show you DRUG for a second. You know, you can see here, it came up from the ones to 60. Basically 30 times plus. And I was buying it, where is it? I was buying it on this initial spike right here. In the 290s. And let me go over my trades, because I think that's what really will help you guys understand. Let me pull up INVO, because I actually bought INVO before DRUG because I thought that this could be a good short squeeze. So I think it's a good place to start, you know. And actually, I'll even go with VERB, because VERB, I didn't trade it properly, but it spiked up big the next day after I was in. Let me get rid of TVGN. I can only watch so many plays. So VERB is this old pump with promoters. In this thing, the CEO was like, you know, put out a whole CEO letter saying this stock should be up more. Where was the letter? Was it? It was one of these. Okay. So this was the letter. Here, I think it actually, did it get posted? I thought it was last Friday. Maybe it wasn't a press release, but it spiked up here basically from 5 to the 10s. But it was closing very weekly on Friday afternoon when I bought this. But again, I was buying it not because I thought it was a good company, but because it spiked up big in the past. So even though I lost $255, I mean, I don't mind small losses. I said low float runner, small afternoon breakout. Maybe it gets back to the mid 9s or even the 10s. CEO is pumping. It's a Friday afternoon. So I thought this could keep running. And instead on that Friday, it did not keep running. Let me get rid of the news. So I was buying it somewhere in here and selling it in here. And it was a good loss cut because it kept going. And I guess they put out the press release, you know, pre-market. Let's see. This was on, Monday morning, the CEO shareholder letter. So maybe so they filed the form on Friday. That was the thing. And then this was the press release. Shout out to, Stocks to Trade. They alerted this on Friday. But this was released Monday morning. And this is what really spiked the stock. And I didn't have Wi-Fi here, so I just got out with a small loss here. But again, I'm not discouraged when a stock really spikes big, because it means I was on the right track. I just, unfortunately, when I'm traveling, especially in Africa, I have charity all day and then I'm trading at night. So this was Monday morning, and it basically spiked from the 7s to the 16s. And then it got a little choppy and it's faded. So this is a classic kind of a play where, short sellers say, who cares what the CEO says? This probably should fade. It usually does fade. And if they're shorting it anywhere 14, 15, 16, a few days later, it's down to the 9s. This is a classic, short selling success story. But what happened with DRUG is when I was buying this Monday afternoon, when it was already up a little bit, but I thought that it could go higher. I was buying it in the idea that, like VERB, it could keep going. I had the loss on VERB. I wasn't going to chase it. I missed Monday morning. PACB was just my weekend play. It was basically flat. I guess I could have timed it better, but, not perfect. DRUG. Oh, shoot. I should go to INVO. Hold on. Let me go in order. I'm sorry. I'm a little disorganized. Lots of coffee, too little sleep. So I misplayed VERB. Then INVO, this was on Monday, and I missed, like I said, the morning spike. and I saw it into the close here at 142. And I thought that, I don't want to chase breakouts. Like, especially you want to you got to try to think opposite right now. Like, when would short sellers enter en masse? And this was a perfect top into the close here at 140-ish. And it was fading. So I bought the dip, which again, in a normal market, I never would. This is going against, 20 years of my rules. But hopefully, if you watch enough of my videos, you understand that it's all about adapting to the market. It's not an exact science. There's no set rules. So I bought this little dip into the close because I've been noticing spikers happening 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, like I said. So it had already failed at 140, and I thought that, it could be luring in shorts to squeeze them after hours. Unfortunately, it kept dropping a little bit. And, understand this is near midnight for me. So I'm trying a little speculative idea, but if it doesn't work, I have no problem with this. Very similar to VERB, out with a small loss. Even though VERB spiked, it was several hours later. I was already out. This is the problem with, having a very specific time which you can trade from. If I was just starting and, maybe some of you can spend more time on these plays because I was dead on with my thesis here. I bought it in here just before the close at 350-ish, 355-ish, and it really didn't start spiking until 4:30 p.m. So I was in and out inside of like 20 minutes because I was just like, oh, it's not spiking after hours. Right here, 4:30 to 4:50, 20 minutes, and it spikes 60%. And the beautiful thing is, like, you can't just say, oh, it's going to spike, let me make 60%. You got to try to buy the breakout. So in hindsight, I probably should have waited for a breakout. But again, I was thinking dip buying, and that way, even if it did break 140 or even if it failed at 140, I could be in at 127 and out at 140 and still have a profit, even if it was going to be like a triple top. But after hours, there's just so many shorts, and these after hours shorts get squeezed. And again, they're not wrong here to short it 115, 120, 125, 130. Look at it now. It's under 90 cents. So this is why shorts get confident, because they're not wrong the majority of the time. But it did spike here, and specifically when it broke 140-ish, I went over this in the challenge webinar. You challenge students, please watch or rewatch my October 15th webinar. I'm sorry, I was like half awake, but I wanted everyone to hear it. You could look at this after hours spike right in here, and in 4 minutes, it literally went from 140 to 190, okay? That's how quick some of these plays are. And then some people are like, well, what if you miss the short squeeze? Look at this. This is why dip buys aren't working. This is why I'm so, excited to show you that it's these short sellers, because there is no accurate short data. There's short data that's usually a month old, and even that's not accurate, because I don't care what short sellers from a month ago are doing. If they're short for a month or two, they're usually in it for the fundamental reasons. They think that it's going to drop over the long term. They're not going to be in and out very quickly. I'm interested in short sellers who short here. Because they can cover same day. Like there's a lot of like price action short sellers, and price action short sellers, when a stock like this spikes, and there was good news, but when it spikes after hours, they just like, oh damn, I gotta cover, and that is what spikes the stock so much. This is what promoters used to do, but these are inadvertent promoters when the shorts are forced to cover either by their broker, or their losses are too great, or they just don't want to be short overnight. But this was a beautiful play. And I know some people are like, what does INVO and what does VERB have to do with DRUG? Because it makes it possible. When you have a few big runners, other runners percolate. Just because of DRUG, I'll end this video in a little bit talking about VS, which is already today's pre-market spiker. We'll see if it still has the juice near the market open. I'm filming this early morning, like around 6:30 in the morning Eastern. But because I misplayed INVO, I misplayed VERB, I still saw DRUG spiking. It doesn't look like much in the chart here, but this is after hours, and it was spiking. And again, like, I don't usually buy stocks even twice, let alone 3 times, but I thought that this showed signs of giant short squeezing on Monday after hours. And so I bought it at 297, and then I said I added a bit more just testing after hour strategy. Now INVO is spiking. So I have a little FOMO because I was in INVO and then I got out and then I was in DRUG. And then here at 5:11, I mean, this is after midnight for me. I have a crazy schedule in Africa. I had to be up in 5.5 hours and it just wasn't doing much. And I wasn't going to wait. This is 5:11 p.m. Eastern. Ideally, I should have held overnight until 8 p.m. Eastern, but given my schedule, I wasn't going to do that. So I took a loss. And I don't usually take $1,000 losses, but this was just me being exhausted, trying a speculative pattern and it not working. And it's not like I just bought it once. I bought it 3 times. I gave it time. I bought it 3 times. I gave it a chance. It didn't do what I want. I was even trying to make a video lesson after this trade and I was slurring my words. I was a minute in and I was like, screw this. Let me just pass out. I don't encourage you to trade or make video lessons like I do before passing out, but that's just how crazy I am right now. But the cool thing is buying it 3 times, even though I had a loss, it put it on a lot of people's radar. And also, if you do use XGPT, in case you don't realize, which you should be using, I'll post a link to XGPT. XGPT, really alerts plays for potential gains the next day. Let me see. Stocks to Trade tweeted it. I think it was a 2,000% winner. Hold on. Yeah, 2,269%. This is crazy. So they alerted it here in the 190s. Every day, XGPT sends out an email at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. And they talk about, which plays can spike after hours or which plays can spike the next day. They send a nice little watch list. I think every single one of you should be using XGPT because it's AI plus my patterns and rules all in one with an automated and email. That's not to say you get the watch list and you just buy everything, but put those stocks on your watch list. This is why, frankly, it was on my watch list. That's how I spotted it. Some people are like, how do you know? How are you finding these big percent gainers? They're already decent percent gainers, but I think that they have more upside. I didn't know when I was buying, this at 297, 293, 287. I didn't know it was going to go to 60. Okay. I didn't know it was going to be a 20 times winner the next day. What I thought was that there was a good chance that it was going to get back to the 330s, 340s, and 15,000 shares times 40 cents. That's pretty damn good. That's a $6,000 gain for me. So I thought there was more upside. I was just off a little bit on my timing, but I'm so proud of so many students. This is the beauty of me being a teacher. Literally there's a saying, teachers are those that can't do. I have done, I'm just not perfect, but so many students banked, and I'm just so proud. I got to call out a few students. This is James McKenzie, and he emailed me. He just joined my challenge in, I think, July. So 3-4 months. And small account, small positions. And James bought DRUG in at 250. Because again, this was the plan from XGPT laid out ahead of time at 195. And he actually had patience out at 14, small position of 200 shares. Just think about that. That's 6 times your money in a day. And he said, I'll take it, not greedy. I mean, you're not greedy, but that's patience. And I know some people, and I think even James, himself would be kicking himself because he's like, it went up to 60. This isn't a good exit. Whether you sell it at 14, whether you sell it at 20, whether you sell it at 30, whether you sell it at 5, okay? There's so much upside with short squeezes, just when I used to buy promotions. And people are like, why are you buying these junk companies? There's so much upside. Keyword, though, for small accounts, okay? You shouldn't be trading with a big account. You can't trade with a big account. There's a lot of slippage. But small accounts, I think every single person should be focused on plays like this because this is how you grow a small account exponentially. And James is just one example. And, again, look, Kurt says, I'm baffled by this one, such a massive rise off no news. And I said, welcome to short squeezes study. And I linked my, I have blog posts, video lessons, all on short squeezes. People cannot understand that when these stocks spike, it's only because of too many short sellers. And I understand the short selling niche very well. These guys, when they have to cover their position for losses, whether it's their own losses or their broker is doing a margin call, they all buy en masse. This is the problem with follow the leader. Same thing with promoters. Promoters tell everyone to buy the stock at the same time. Atlas Trading, they all pump it up and there's good camaraderie. And they're like, yeah, Atlas Trading, we're all in this together. And now short sellers are like, yeah, dilution tracker, these companies suck, we're all in this together. You are not in this with anybody else. And when too many people take one side of a position, it's actually better to go opposite them. Because stat after stat after stat with academic study after academic study shows that 90 to 95% of traders lose. So if you ever feel like you're part of a group and you want that camaraderie, you want that, fellowship, you're wrong. Trading is an individual sport. Okay? So if there's ever a group doing one thing, say thank you, and in your mind be like, I'm going to do opposite. Okay? I can tell you hundreds of short sellers that I know personally. I probably talk to more traders and know more traders. Or, I used to talk to more short sellers. Now they don't like it because I call them out on their BS. But I know more traders than most people. And I will tell you hundreds, if not thousands, of short sellers just got destroyed on DRUG. I just highlighted a few, but those are the transparent ones. There's many more who are not transparent. And they don't want to be exposed. And again, I'm not here to rub salt in the wound or expose anybody. I just want you to understand why these plays are so good. And whether I have to sell out for losses because it's past my bedtime and I'm trading from a freaking tent in Africa, or whether I nail it or whether I sell too early, it's fine because the opportunities are there. I'm not angry when students do better than me. It's really not that hard to do better than me. If you watch my stuff for any extended period of time, yeah, I've made millions, but I'm not perfectly trading these things at all. Shout out to my student Dion, biggest win. DRUG at 280, out at 380. Total profit of 5,900, okay? And this is Dion's biggest record day. And this is $1 a share. Mind you, this thing went up another $57 a share. So even Dion's record day of 6,000, which is fantastic, multiply this by 57. Let's just do some math here, okay? 59, 10 times, it went up another, I guess from $56 a share. So this could have been a $330,000 profit if you time it perfectly, which you're never going to do. But I just want you to understand the ridiculous amount of upside. And 5,900 is great for Dion. That's fantastic. Don't feel bad if you sell too soon. Just realize that you want to be on the right track here, okay? It's my job to try to explain the situation so you're on the right track so that whether you want to sell for $1 or $2 or $5 or $10, again, I didn't know it had, $57 a share of upside from my buy. I just knew that it had upside because of short sellers, no different than VERB or INVO. But DRUG spiked the most because VERB faded and INVO faded and a bunch of other plays have faded recently. And then you have the short selling chat rooms and the short selling conference, okay? Be very careful when multiple traders are on a strategy and they crowd that strategy. If you do know anything about wildlife and you have these invasive species, it's not that the species are bad. There's just too many of them, like locusts in a field. I say this stuff about short sellers and they take it personally. Whether you take it personally or not, I don't care. Okay? I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to be all nice. I want you to understand these plays the way that I do so that you can buy some of these crappy companies and then watch them go up ridiculous amounts and not be confused. Also, I got to give a shout out to some other students. Where was it? There's so many students and I'm sorry. Oh my God. Did I not tweet the students? Yeah, I went away for 2 hours and it goes to $30 a share. I was pumped even when it was, here at 13, I was saying don't chase it. This is crazy. I personally underestimated DRUG. Where did I say, was it here? Oh, okay. Here's some students where, this was halted in the 7s. And I was like, this thing is nearly triple from where I was buying. I didn't know it was going to go up 20 times. But again, I'm on the right track. This is how I know what I teach is so useful because they went up. This happens again and again. Watch my video lessons over the past few months. The squeezes are getting more volatile, okay? This is like climate change. And there's just more and more short sellers, polluters of the stock market, if you want an analogy to climate change. And so just like the storms are getting more volatile, the squeezes are getting more volatile. And I love this. Rum Team made, 4,000 in at 4, out at 5. Dubs, 30% on a few hundred shares. Sang Trader made 50 cents a share. T-Boy Cash got in, drug, and then it got halted. Sometimes, like when you're in these plays before it gets halted, it can keep going. Raj made like 30 cents. I'm the Trader made like 60 cents. Understand, I've got hundreds more of these. I literally just don't have time to show everybody everything. Get in the chat room. You can see all the archives. It's there. So DRUG was just a short squeeze and I lost $1,000 on it, but my idea was pretty good. And all of these losses, from VERB, where I was just too early and then I didn't get a chance to trade it when it really spiked, to PACB, which, had I, again, my schedule probably could have been a small win, but what did PACB do? I don't even know. Oh, VS is holding up pretty well. STEC is up, trending a little bit. PACB, I was in at like 2. I heard it went to like 210. Yeah. So it went up a little bit. Nothing much there. That's like a ball of like, that's a nothing burger. But all these losses, you're like, oh my God, Tim, this is terrible. Loss after loss after loss. This is like $2,000. And now on 2 trades, I've already made most of it back. This is how you get to millions over time. You can't be afraid of small losses. You can't be afraid of consecutive losses, especially when you have a busy schedule, especially when you're proven to be on the right track. And I just didn't want to, be sloppy again. Not only did I lose like on 4 trades in a row, but remember, I bought DRUG 3 times. That's my limit, okay? When you see me buy a stock 2 times or 3 times, like I'm trying to give it time because I think that there's, some massive opportunity. But 3 times and I'm passing out, like, and I'm 3 times and I'm wrong I only lost 10 cents a share, but I had a big position. Just understand, when I try multiple times, like, it's usually a pretty good setup. Maybe I'm being undisciplined, maybe I'm a little early, but I don't just buy crappy random setups 2 or 3 times. Like, there was something there. And go back into the chat room. It's all archived. You can see what I was saying, with both INVO and DRUG. And INVO had a 60% spike, and I was just too early. DRUG, went up 20 times, and I was just too early. But Wolf was a good trade yesterday. This was, for me, really important when I have multiple losses to just get a disciplined trade in. And Wolf already had good news in the morning, and I bought this morning panic. I know it's a little higher price for people, but I like stocks that spike a lot, and then the Sykes morning panic pattern. I pretty much nailed the bottom, as I tend to do. I'm pretty good at dip buys. It had already spiked up to the 16s, and I was getting it on a dip right in the support here. I thought there would be some support going back to pre-market in the 1360s, 1370s. So when it broke 14, which is very important if you know my morning panic dip buys, I like it when it breaks a round number but doesn't do much after that, because remember, it's already down from the 16s, and the good news is already out. So just a small trade. But this is my go-to pattern, and I made, nearly 50 cents a share. It did end up bouncing, what, $1 a share? It got, so like 13.80 to like 14.80. So there was a little bounce. Just a very simple trade to get me back on track. I think that's really good. When you have losses, sometimes it's good to size down or not trade. For me, especially when there's so many plays and there's a hot market, it's not like I'm not going to trade. That's just not an option. I'm an addict like you guys. I'm the alcoholic bartender serving you drinks, drinking my own drinks. I had to trade, but I did want a disciplined trade, and Wolf was a really good disciplined trade, and I was really happy with it. And then VS, this was this morning. Like, Wolf was my only trade yesterday. I was just frankly overwhelmed with students on DRUG, and it was a record day for so many students. This morning, pre-market, I wasn't looking to trade. I wanted to do this video. Still have to do my watch list. Then I gotta leave in like, what is it? So it's one. I'm so confused with times. I gotta leave in like 20 minutes. Shoot. Let me finish. Let me wrap this up. VS was a big spiker. They had some news here. Why is this not showing it? They entered into some cybersecurity news. Did it come out here? Oh, I guess it was an after hour spiker yesterday. Very similar to DRUG. After hour spiker one day, not much into the close, and then more spiking. And now here we are. I'll probably miss it if this does break 6. And, this could go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's why I wanted to do a pre-market video. But I was buying this thinking that it was going to break out here. And it actually double topped here. So I'm dip buying it because, with DRUG, you had these like double tops, but like there's still a lot of momentum. There's still a lot of volume. I don't know if you can see here, it's already traded 20 million shares pre-market. The float is only 1.5 million. So this is a low float play. It can fly. We got to see if it can get past this resistance now in the 550s and then resistance in the 6s. Again, with my schedule, I'll probably miss near the market open, unfortunately. So that's what I'd be looking for. If it does get back to 615, 620, 630, I'd be buying it. The goal to sell in the 7s or the 8s. It's already up 340%, but because of these other plays, it can really go. There's another play, STEC. This one is up 370%. You got to watch this one, but it was up more. It got up to the 4s, after hours. This was yesterday after hours spike. I was giving a challenge webinar. I missed it because I was like starting up the webinar software right here when it was spiking. When I start giving webinars, it's really tough for me to like, hey, let me start my webinar software with technical issues galore and then try to trade. So I missed this run up. And then for me, it's tough to chase when I missed the initial run up, but this was a beautiful spike from 38 cents up to $3 and then up to 460. I mean, this is 15 times your money in what? In 30 minutes? Like, there's so much upside. But now it's still up 360%, but it's not acting that well. VS is probably the best. But because DRUG is fading, this will give short sellers more ammo. Before these things fade, the short sellers are like on their back foot. They're scared of losses. DRUG could still be sucking in shorts, and if it breaks 47, it could easily hit 60 again. If it breaks 60, it could go to like 80 or 100. So I wouldn't count this one out, but the momentum has definitely been damaged. And that's going to hurt, STEC, which it already has, and it's going to hurt VS. So I got out of VS. Just a little dip buy. Again, same kind of strategy as DRUG. I'm buying the attempted breakout, and then I'm adding. Like normally, some people are like, Tim, like you're down 50 cents a share. Why are you adding? Because of the volatility. Usually, even if it's going to fail at 6, it'll probably have another time to fail, which it did. And this was all at 5:30 in the morning. I know that it's early in the morning. Welcome to my life. Welcome to why I'm existing on a lot of coffee and very little sleep. But I locked in a nice $1,200 profit. That's all I needed. Given my crazy schedule today, pre-market, that's pretty much as good as I can do. Again, let me just be very clear. If I was going to have internet access, it's going to be 7 a.m. in 4 minutes. I guess I'll keep going. We'll see what this does at 7 a.m. Many retail brokers start allowing trades at 7 a.m. So you might see a 7 a.m. spike. But the key numbers to watch, I just keep it simple. I like breakouts. So we got to see if this can break past 550. It had resistance here like 20 minutes ago and about an hour ago. 550 was resistance. Then, you have this triple top at 6. But, if there's enough volume, it very well might blow through it. And no matter how weak, quote, weak it looks, because it's a dollar a share off its highs and like the volume is fading, it can still come back. This is how short squeezes work. Okay. Like DRUG, I mean, yesterday before this big spike, like this is crazy. I wasn't even around for the midday spike. That was my bad. By the way, some people say don't trade midday. This was a 12:40 p.m. breakout. As I said in the challenge webinar last night, in the past, I said don't buy midday because you have fake outs galore. And I was a short seller when I was saying that. So short sellers think that you have fake outs midday. So that's a time that can trap them because most short sellers are looking for fake outs. They're looking for these tops to short and to add into their position. And then they're trying to profit on the big fades down. What happened yesterday midday? This was at 12:40 p.m. This was at 1:10 p.m. 30 minutes and the stock goes from 13 to nearly 30. Okay? Midday spikes are a real thing. So no matter where you are in the world, no matter what your schedule, try to be there around noon or 1 p.m. or even like 1:30 p.m. In the past, these have been no buy zones. But now, because of the short squeezes, and especially like this was a nice breakout, like it's tough to just get it randomly at 13, but it was a nice breakout over the earlier high here at 17. And the cool thing is the reason why these plays work so well. Remember, it's up for no good reason, okay? So it's purely a technical breakout, purely a short squeeze. And when it broke 17 here, it went from 1750 really was like the breakout over this previous high. 1750, and in 1 minute it went to 20. So it went up $2.50 a share, which was good. But for the next few minutes, it actually looked like it might be topping. And me as a former short seller, I would be shorting in here because like I'd be like, this is ridiculous. This stock is up from the 1s to the 18s. Let me average up. And that, my friends, is what creates the best squeeze, because then in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, it goes from the 17s to 30. This is a giant short squeeze. Then it gets a little toppy. But this kind of topping action is what shorts were looking for here. They were wrong here and they were right here for a little bit. And then look at the breakout. Again, this one is very choppy, right into the close here at 31. I didn't think that it had enough ammo, but again, because it topped out here and shorts are thinking, let me average at 30, let me average at 26, 25. Even myself, I was like, I wouldn't chase it because I think this is going to crack. I thought this was going to go under 20. This is why I don't short, because I was dead wrong. And then you get the breakout right into the close to 45. And then again, you get another breakout here at 45 to 60. So, it's easy in hindsight, like just buy the breakout. It's so simple. Obviously, in the moment when things are up so much, it's not so easy. But this is what you need to do. You need to try to be there when it hits a high. Like the market is about to open for many brokers right now. We got to see how VS does, if it can get back to 6, if it can break out or not. But that's what you should be looking for. Use stocks to trade breaking news. Use stocks to trade scans. Use XGPT. Use Iris. Use Oracle. We have so many tools to get these stocks on your watch list and then see how they act around the previous highs. Is it going to be a triple top like it was earlier? And I'm glad I sold. I actually sold this one right near the highs, which is rare for me. But again, I have a crazy busy day today. And now you can see it spiking. Look at it. It was just going down to the 490s, and now it's trying to come up to the 515, 520. Oh my God. I wish I could stick around. I really do. I think that it's going to potentially retest 550 and potentially retest 6. It might not. Like it just tried to spike and then the shorts, push it back down. It's going to be a battle. So the more you watch these plays, I think the better. But I get it. Oh, look at that. So it just failed at 5. So now the shorts are in control. Shorts are trying to push this down. The short selling chat rooms are like, dilution tracker, fundamentally doesn't deserve to be up. And they're using those nerdy voices because that's what they are. But just because they created that crack doesn't mean that the war is over. You really have to watch and see, but I have to get going. Anyways, leave a comment underneath this video. Say, this market is crazy. And also say thank you, short sellers, because it's not the promoters. It's not that we have a hot industry. These are over-aggressive short sellers who get squeezed en masse and they create amazing upside. Like, look at this. Even when this thing was fading earlier around 520, in 2 minutes, it spiked from 517 to 630. So even though it's fading right now at 490, 480, it's not over. It's still early days. It's only 7 a.m. Eastern. This is the first green day. They have solid news, big volume. We'll see what it does. I wouldn't have a position now because it could still fade. It's up 300%, which is ridiculous. But if it starts squeezing, look for it to be a potential buy. That's why I'm making this video. And congrats to, again, so many students. I'm sorry I can't highlight all of you, but it's awesome. And I'm just very proud of so many of you. And I hope we see more squeezes like this. I'm glad I took the screenshot because you can see like where each one of these is 1 minute charts. And you can see here in 3 minutes from 6 to 10. And short sellers would say this is crazy. It's up for no reason. There's no news catalyst. It's going to go down. Mind you, this was just the beginning on the way to 60. So, again, if you're a short seller, thank you for your sacrifice. You're sacrificing your health, oftentimes your wealth, your sanity. And inadvertently, you guys are spiking stocks faster and far more than promoters ever did. Remember, promoters never spiked stocks this much because they were afraid of like SEC investigations. Because like they didn't want to manipulate stocks too high, too fast, because then they would get called out and the promoters would get shut down. These short sellers, I mean, they are being investigated, but they're covering, buying to cover, not as a result of wanting to pump it up, but because they're trying to avoid big losses. And so when a play like this spikes so fast, then they start to realize, oh, shoot, there's a lot more upside here than they thought. Let's see how this is doing. Yeah, so the shorts just won the battle here at 7 a.m. We'll see what they do later. I got to get going. Leave a comment underneath this video. Say, this market is crazy. I'll also post some links to XGPT and some links on, short squeezes so that you can get better prepared because this is a crazy market and it's full of opportunity. I got to go. Thank you.